Good evening, I'd like to call this August 11th, 2025, Sylvania Board of Education meeting in order. Mr. Coe, can you call the roll?
Ms. Hoffman?
Here.
Mrs. Conklin?
Here.
Mrs. Lavalette?
Here.
Mr. Feller?
Here.
Mr. Bowden?
Yes.
Thank you, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's us with our presentation by Ms. Jody Hess.
All righty. Thank you. First, before I get started, I do have to say something, even though I didn't know all my buddies were going to be here tonight, but that's besides the point. I want to thank you because I love my job and I love what I'm doing, and I know you guys here probably thank you a lot, but I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for allowing me to lead the foundation and to work with the foundation, because there's a lot of great things that we're doing and I can't wait to share them with you. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago when I started, and Julie and Dave came up to me and they're like, hey, you ready for this? I go, nope. Now I get up every day and I love it, so thank you. I love my old job. I didn't like testing, but I love my job. So anyway, I have a few notes. I told you guys I would keep it short, so we're gonna keep it real short. And let me get started right away with what we're gonna do. All right. Uh-oh. Okay, oops, let's look at it. Mission statement. If you haven't seen it, please make sure to go to the website. The mission statement right there is to engage our community. And that's what we're trying to do in the community, is not only our schools, but it's our businesses, it's our alumni, it's the whole gamut of people that we're trying to work with as we go through the foundation. And what we're gonna do today, give you a quick overview, give you a financial update, project updates, current status, what's the future look like for the foundation, and then the next steps. So let me tell you one thing first before we get to that. We have a group of people, coordinators, directors, or whatever the title is, like myself, from each school district. And we meet once every couple months, every other month. And at this time, it's a great opportunity for us to talk about what's happening in our schools, learn about what the other schools are doing, things of that sort. One of the questions that was posed to us, we had a speaker come and tell us how to help our foundation grow. And one of the questions they asked was three reasons our community loves our schools. And if you had to think about that, what would you say is one of your top reasons that your community loves your schools? Think about what you think the answer would be, and you can't answer. No, you can't answer. But what would be the top reason? The top reason came up to the top with all of the surveys across the nation was teachers. It's the teachers who make the difference in our schools. That's one of the reasons that your community loves your school. Teachers, they keep coming back. They keep doing great things. They have great leadership. We have great programs in Sylvania, and it's just part of the equation. We also have a great education because of our teachers. The teachers help our education, and then helps with our success. Although, Casey, I'm glad you could join us.
Thanks.
Although we look at that, and a lot of times people think athletics might be on the list. People love athletics, so let's not take that off the table. It's just not the one that rose to the top. So we're looking at it, and teachers is the number one reason that the schools, the community loves the schools. Obviously, our end goal for all of us is graduation, making sure that our kids are able to get to the next step, making sure that we have a path for them, that they have a reason that they're going on to the next level, whatever it may be that they choose. So let me give you a quick financial update. I'm so excited about what we've done this year. This is not the pluses and minuses. This is not expenses and things like that. This is just kind of an overall look at the past year of what we were able to do. We awarded over $13,000 in grants to our faculty. We had professional development, over $10,000 was given out. Scholarships to kids, we gave out over $26,000. We received in just donations alone, over $43,000 this past year. Our Hall of Fame events, both of them together, As these guys know, I'm not really good at math, but somewhere in the area of $12,000–$13,000 in surplus that we were able to have at the event. That's a lot of donations and things of that sort. Memorial is something that's new, unfortunately. This past year, we had 2 people who were very instrumental in starting the foundation, very involved in the foundation, and their family truly believed in the mission of the foundation. So as part of their contributions, they asked that donations be made to Sylvania Schools Foundation. And with that, we've received over $5,500. And it's still coming in, unfortunately, but I spoke to the wife of Kevin, as many of you know, Kevin Mitchell, who passed away. I just spoke to Lori the other day, and she's working on getting these other people involved. So the contributions continue in memory of Kevin as well, and a few other people who passed away. With a total of over $111,000 just this year that we were able to do. So yes, there's not the expenses in there, there's not the pluses and minuses, but it's just kind of what we're able to do in the foundation. So we're very, very proud of that. The foundation works hard trying to work with the donors as well. Let me give you a quick update on the activities and projects that we've done. I'm going to skip 100 for 100 just because that's something I want to highlight in a minute. But the collaboration with UT, Dr. Motley and I have been working with UT for, I feel like, forever. And we're finally to a point now that we have been able to work with UT. They are in our backyard, and we are their #1 feeder school. That's my counseling background, kind of pulling in that part. But we're their #1 feeder school. We should have a better relationship with them. They should be kind of helping us. We should be helping them. So we have worked with them, and they were a huge donor for us for the event coming up. And we have a plan that we're going to be working with, actually, with Melissa to get them in our schools and us to get to their schools. So we're excited about that. Owens has stepped up. They're giving us scholarships this year. And Sidecar, thanks to Tim and Adam, and I appreciate your help with that, the connection. Jody is her name. She's like my new best friend. We talk all the time. They've given us a ton of donations, so I'm excited about that one as well. And I see that continuing. We started the Taste of Sylvania this year. As you guys know, we aren't going to have our main tailgate, community tailgate for a free hot dog. We're doing something a little bit different, and we're going to have 5 food trucks there. We hope the weather's good, but that's going to be on the Friday night before the game. We have music, we have mascots, we have the bands are going to be playing, we have the cheerleaders, we have the dance team, we have just a whole agenda of things. So I hope you have it on your calendar, stop by. I think it's going to be a great event at Southview, right before the Northview-Southview game. Scholarships, we continue to get money in to provide more scholarships every year. Every year we provide more scholarships. Athletic and Distinguished Hall of Fames, as you are well aware, those have continued. And they are growing. We're looking at making some changes in the next couple of years, but right now the deadline is October 31st. If you know of anyone to either Hall of Fame for next year, we would love to have as many nominations as we can. The donor list continues to grow, as I mentioned earlier. We are building that relationship and building that bridge to have the donors come in to help our faculty and help our resources as well. We have some big things coming up that I'm excited about. Continue to make a presence at the Fall Festival. The more we're out there, the more people hear about us, the more we have that relationship. This year we're joining the Workforce Alliance, the foundation is, and we will be working with the community on helping our alumni, connecting them with the businesses and our students in that, and we'll hear more about that later as well. Engagement of Ameriprise. We did take on an investment company this year. Our board approved it, and then we have an investment committee. And we took our money, instead of just sitting in a bank account like at 0.1%, we're now making money on our money. So we're excited about that, where we're going to be able to use it for different things and continue to grow. The website updates and emails, we are continually getting emails out. One went out today. The open rate, I'm kind of excited about this, but I'd love to see it get 100. I know that's a reach. But the open rate's 75%, and the click rate is 6%, which is both above industry average. I know that sounds kind of silly, but when you're looking at that, you want to see, is this working or not? So we have that. And then last year we were able to provide funds for the speaker who came to speak to the entire Sylvania staff. So these are just some of the things we did this year, and we're going to obviously continue and build on. But I want to talk about the 100 for 100, which is something that I am so excited about. When I retired, I was involved with the foundation, but let's pretend I wasn't. There's a disconnect with Sylvania, and no fault to anyone, but people put in 30 years, some people were students here and were involved, and then they retire. And a lot of people I have been talking to is like, well, what can I do? What's involved? And it's kind of like a disconnect. We have that wonderful luncheon, but we don't have that connection anymore with our retired faculty. And there's hundreds, and they want to help out Sylvania. Now, as we all know, if we have 300 teachers or staff who've retired, if we can get 100 or 150, not everyone wants to. Some people are like, I'm done, I'm moving on. But there's a lot who still want to be involved. So we started this campaign. I came up with this idea, and Gail Brenner, who is now on our exec board, and has been I asked her to kind of take the lead, and she is. So it's, what we're calling it is SOS, Supporting Our Schools 100 for 100. So we have enlisted one retired administrator. We have two now, OPSI representatives, and we have someone from every school. We're missing one school right now, we're still working on that school. Retired teacher who are reaching out to their friends to give 100. So our goal is to get 100 people to donate $100. Obviously then $10,000, I got that part of the math. But if we can use that, and our goal is four things for that money. We're gonna give it back to the teachers. It's gonna be grant and PD money. So we're gonna be able to give them, the same sort of process that they go through now to apply for grants, but we'll have more money, we'll have more opportunities for them. Remember, the number one thing was teachers. And the retired staff is thrilled to be doing this. And then the second thing we're gonna do is give a scholarship to our seniors, obviously, in May. And then the third thing we wanna do is any student, an alumni who comes back to teach in Sylvania, we wanna give them a $100 gift card to start their classroom as a new teacher. Because we all know what it felt like those first couple of years when you're like trying to get your classroom together. At the end of the year, we actually have another meeting tomorrow, and at the end of the year, what we'd like to do is a culmination of the year and all of that, and have a luncheon or a breakfast or something like that with all of the retired staff at location. I don't know all that stuff yet, that's too far away. But anyway, so we're doing this, and we're very excited about it. We're a quarter of the way through already with our retired staff. Again, we have a meeting tomorrow. On top of that, we're getting matching grants, and so if we get $10,000 from the teachers, I keep saying teachers, and I don't mean that, it's staff. We get $10,000 from a matching grant, and I've got part of that already promised. And then my goal is when I go to our staff meetings, if we can get our staff, I do this every year, but if they could give $1, and that's a different presentation for the staff meeting on Wednesday, that I'm going to at Mark's school, but anyways, we got it. If they could give $1, we have, let's say, 400 staff, there would be another $10,000. So $1 or $26 for the year, we're a 501(c), we can write a letter, all that kind of stuff. So this is a project that we're really gonna focus on this year to try to help the teachers with their grants and PDs. Okay, so now, what's our roadmap to success? This is where we think the first thing we have to do is connect. We have to connect with people, we have to build a culture, we have to collaborate, and then we will obviously, hopefully, collect. And I think I said this a couple years ago, those of you who remember, but it's 7 touches before you really get the money. So we got I have a couple, I'm on number 3 with them right now. I have another group that I'm working on, and I've reached out 2 times to them. So it's 7 touches, I keep trying, we're gonna get there, but you can't, you don't wanna inundate them. With that, the roadmap is the school board leadership buy-in. And what I truly do appreciate is your support of the foundation. Because without that, we wouldn't be anywhere. And there's so many times, Adam has called me and said, hey, we have this donation, it's easier to go through the foundation than it would be to go in a different way, that we can be able to help kids. And that's why we're all here, is to help kids. So I want to again thank you for your support of the foundation, because it truly makes a difference. And that's one of the things that even when I went to that seminar, they said, if you don't have the leadership and the support of your school board, good luck. And I immediately was like, nope, we do. So I really, truly appreciate your support of that. We also have a strategy for investments, and then also responsible stewardship of our resources. So making sure that, we're doing things in the right way. And then also the last one is, adapting as needed. We've already talked about monitoring progress. This Taste of Sylvania, I think I'm the most nervous about it. It could be a big bust. We could have like 2 people there, food trucks don't show up, it pours rain, whatever. I know, it'll be fine, it's gonna be good.
There's more than 2 people, Veronica and I will be.
Okay, thank you, all right, there we go. Well, you know how we have those back to school dreams? Like, you guys still have those back to school dreams, right? We all have them? I had one last night, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's too early, I got a week and a half, so I'm starting already the back to school dream.
Oh,
But, you have them.
I do.
Okay, I'm like, you have them, you're gonna have one Tuesday
Definitely.
or Wednesday morning, I know you
Tomorrow
are.
night.
That's what I mean, you're gonna.
Tomorrow night.
But my point is, we're gonna look at it, and if it's a total flop, which I'm hoping it won't be, I think we've got everything lined up that we need to have, we'll adjust, we will relook at it. So upcoming events, obviously you are aware of these, but I just want to bring it to the forefront of your mind again, the Athletic Hall of Fame, which is next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, and we have eight inductees, a team, a coach, and a Jim Glaze Award. We have the Taste of Sylvania the night before, we also have the Fall Festival we will be attending, and then the Distinguished Hall of Fame, which is coming up. That's just kind of the major, when we're out and about, events. So what are our priorities this year? Well, first is to continue to grow our database. We want to establish our long-term relationships with the donors, not just get our donors anymore. I just was upstairs working and I had a gentleman call me and he said, hey, I made the donation last year, I'd like to do it this year, I'll do it every year for you. I'm like, okay, great, thanks, bring the check. Grow our presence, make sure that we're still out there and about. Connect with more Sylvania alumni businesses and businesses. Dr. Motley is, we talked about, I'm gonna start going to some chamber meetings with her, just so that we can start seeing have the foundation in front of people. And then also, obviously, one of our main things this year is gonna be support Sylvania students and staff. So the one thing, teamwork, as I said, fuels our mission, and each new year brings fresh opportunities to reach higher, give more, and create lasting impact together. So it is my goal is each year is to make sure that we are all working together. The foundation, we have a great group of people that we're working with, and your support, we truly, truly appreciate all of it. I know some of you, I just want to make sure you have my card. If you have any questions, or hey, I have a great idea, or this might work better, please reach out. Please reach out, because I would love to make sure that if there's something that, I think you have my information, but if there's something that we can do to help, let us know, So, questions for me, Amy? No, just kidding. Questions?
Rob out.
None?
Rob out.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Who are the 5 food trucks? I got it.
You what?
Who are the 5 food trucks? Who are they?
So that, okay. Yeah.
Never mind.
You're just
No,
gonna
no.
stress it out.
Never mind.
Okay, this event
That's
was the
question.
easiest thing in my mind to put together, except for the food trucks. Because they have to have this, and they have to have that, and they only don't want to be there for 2 hours, and then I just got a text today from someone, they said, it's $1,000 if you want this food truck. I'm like, no, I don't then. We're having Trippin' Biscuits, it's called, a place called Wow, it's like waffle desserts. The lemonade place, that's a Northview grad. Because La Casero, I think it's like something, it's Mexican Latin food. And then Trippin' Biscuits, that one, and, not your mama's grilled cheese, not mac and cheese, grilled cheese. So, I'm gonna confirm with them one more time, and then if not, we'll order pizza. So, anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Really,
you.
Jody.
They
Go a long way. Pretty great.
I'm the crazy.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Okay, thank you, Jody.
You're
Exciting stuff. This is our first opportunity for public participation for items which are on the agenda. Seeing none, we are with you.
I just have one resolution today. It's an urgent necessity resolution for repairs at the Northview pool. We had some leakage around the decking that washed out some sand, and we need to replace that as soon as possible so we can get it back up and running for the season.
Now move approval.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? Greg, nothing?
No.
Can we rename it the Money Pit?
Yeah, exactly.
Movie.
I know, that's what I'm thinking of, the Tom Hanks movie.
Yep,
But I mean, we're in it now.
we are. And last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like last year.
Yeah.
Julie,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
thank you guys.
We're with you, Dr. Monson.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. I would like to recommend item 5.1, policies for a second read as noted. One is policy 8452 for AED defibrillators specifically, and policy 5136 personal communication devices.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay. Other comments or questions?
So are we voting on these together or separately?
Can we separate them out? Well, I mean, I guess, can we separate them out?
I mean, I don't know.
Good, just have to, you'd have to amend your motion.
Okay, so I'm gonna amend my motion to approve policy 8452.
I'll second.
Okay, comments or questions on defibrillation? Al?
Julie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Okay. Now I will make another motion to approve policy 5136.
Second.
Okay, now let's talk about this one. Does anybody have any comments?
I'll go first. As you all know, I emailed some proposed changes earlier today. After that, we received, and my proposed changes were essentially a carve-out for e-readers and smartwatches to be used consistent with the current policy as opposed to a complete ban. And the current policy is out of sight and silence during class. And I continue to believe that our approach to all the devices is flawed. I think some of these devices offer benefits to our students that will be lost, like with e-readers. I think our kids will want the opportunity to read during lunch, for example, and the library offers digital downloads, there's apps, it's a lot more convenient and less expensive to get books that way. And with the smartwatches, they offer exercise and health tracking that I think is important to our students. And I kind of feel like we're missing the forest for the trees on that. So I was proposing that we would preserve the status quo on these devices, just silenced and out of sight. And I know there's a possibility of misuse, but frankly, I don't think that possibility is as much as there is for the personally owned devices that we're allowing students to continue to use. So those are my thoughts on that. And then we received from Dr. Motley the state's updated definition of instructional day, which I think is consistent with what we were going to do anyway. It's bell to bell, or what we were talking about doing. But we also received the state's proposed draft policy on cell phone usage, and it does not extend to electronic devices or PCBs or whatever we're calling them now. It's just on cell phones, and I think that we need to sit down and take some time and actually try to merge our existing PCB policy with the cell phone policy. And I would anticipate a section on cell phones and then a section on other PCBs and then a section that applies to both. And I've always felt like we were rushing this, and now I really feel like we're rushing it in light of the information that's come in today. Those are my thoughts.
My thoughts are also, with this model policy that came in, I feel like the state is trying to pass a new law on cell phones, and we're regulating PCDs. And this old Neola policy that honestly was probably drafted initially in the early 2000s is it's all over the place, and we're trying to, the idea of banning e-readers, I'm completely against. I've been using a Kindle for years. Both my girls use Kindles. We use them to buy cheaper books and to download from the library. And there's nothing on my Kindle that I can communicate with anybody. I've previously owned a Barnes & Noble Nook, same thing. And if you can, and some of the fancier devices, access a browser, it is way more clunky than anything our kids are gonna have on their Chromebooks right in front of them, and their iMacs and their iPads. So I'm opposed to this right now in that it prohibits e-readers. I'm also kind of on the fence on the watches. I in previous requests or questions that we posed to principals, the idea was, if a kid's wearing a watch, we're not gonna walk around and make everybody strip watches. So, enforcing a policy that makes kids take their watches off seems to be an awfully big ask. And so many watches these days are they smart watches or are they regular watches? And are we really gonna dive into those weeds? And are we more worried about the device or the behavior? And so I feel like taking time, I liked that MUG policy that came out today. I think somehow using that and then, maybe trying to, like Tammy said, merge with a PCD policy, but separate cell phones from this other thing, and then we can talk about whether Bluetooth is enabled or whether they're being used for communication somehow. Take the time, and I know the concern is the start of the school year, but it seems to me that in junior high, we have been requiring phones in the lockers or out of sight for years, and it's not in our policy. So we can start out the high school year saying cell phones are banned per state law and board policy coming, but we want them in your lockers or wherever you want to do it. I think we've been doing it in junior high, we can do it in high school while we work on this official policy. Those are my thoughts.
I think I share many of the same concerns. My biggest concerns with this is I feel like, as both Tim and, or excuse me, as both Kim and Tammy said, is I feel like we're focusing too much on specific devices and not behavior. And if we want to write an outdated policy, then we should focus on devices. And I know the state is focusing on a cell phone, and I think we've allowed that to shift the discussion in an unhelpful direction. So I just think that we're gonna be chasing our tails with this policy as it's currently written.
I mean, I think that the changes Tammy suggested earlier, if we wanted to try and implement those tonight, I could get behind, but in light of this model policy that came out, I think I would just like more time I like the idea of using this model policy and changing the PCD thing altogether. I mean, who knows, Neola may come out with something different tomorrow based on this model policy.
They probably will. Well, and I liked your proposal on PCDs can transmit, receive messages.
And that's it.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm a big Kindle. I think it should be able to have their e-readers. I don't think you're texting on I can't text on my Kindle. I can just read. I can communicate with Amazon to get some books, but that's about it. But I do think it's important that we, our leaders want this before the beginning of the school year, and I don't know how comfortable anybody is with us who's saying, change the rules, but we don't have a policy. And to your point, Dan, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, I think we're getting a lot into the weeds about the details. I'm not in a building. I mean, that is our job policy, and to try to do it the best we can. We're not gonna get it perfect, I think, the first time, and then we can go back and tweak it. And I agree on the e-readers. I would not be in favor of that. And I think we can maybe hopefully make some tweaks to get this policy, in place before, next week. I don't know if we can do that now. It doesn't sound like you're super comfortable doing that.
I also prefer the disciplinary structure in the model policy, but it's a different issue. I mean, I really did like the way the model policy was written relative to cell phones.
Can you share that, Tammy? What's the discipline structure?
Oh.
It was basically confiscation, parent meeting. It was more about confiscation, parent meeting, and
Second step, like second offense is parent meeting, or you're talking with the first
So
conversation?
was if a student violates this policy, a teacher or administrator shall take the following progressive disciplinary measures. And they're just bullet pointed. Give the student a verbal warning and require the student to store the student's cell phone in accordance with this policy. 2, securely store the student's cell phone in a teacher or administrator controlled locker, bin, or drawer for the duration of the passive period. Place the student's cell phone in the school central office for the remainder of the day. Place the student's cell phone in the school central office to be picked up by the school student's parent or guardian. Schedule a conference with the student's parent or guardian, and then other insert as needed. So, it's progressive. I mean, kind of like ours is, just I think written differently. I mean, I guess it doesn't have like detention and.
That's not something that would change my vote about
Yeah.
the disciplinary stuff.
Yeah.
I just, I did prefer it.
So I guess what I'm hearing at this juncture, today's Monday, if we were able to connect with building administration, along with Tim and I, restructure some of the language, it is possible that perhaps we could hold a special meeting on Wednesday, around the opening day. I don't know how many of you plan to attend that event, but we could do a special meeting at that time.
I would not be available. I have depositions all day Wednesday. I'd be available in the evening or.
So why don't we see if there's a time we can all get together and have a special meeting, because I have to be at work by 9:45, so I'll be.
I'm just curious as to,
Timeliness.
yeah, I mean, why can't we just start the school year off and say, put your cell phones in your locker? I mean, we do that in junior high, and it's not in our policy. We already have a policy that says no cell phone use during the day. I know the policy needs to be
We
fixed.
could do that virtually by changing our student handbooks and making it part of our local control. We're just gonna do that and roll it out and mirror what we already do in junior high. We certainly could do that by amending our student handbooks.
Is that the issue, is that we want to update the handbooks?
That's on the board agenda tonight as well. It needs to be updated and approved in the handbook in order for us to implement it.
So the agenda, the handbook that's on the agenda tonight says,
I think what you're saying is, our policy right now, I'll just use our junior high, our policy says off and out of sight. Our principals say often in a locker, and for the most part, kids adhere to that. So even though this policy isn't established, board approved, et cetera, if we started off the school year saying
Often in a locker, we
cell
can do that
phones
by.
just in a locker.
I mean, I don't think there's any dissension on, I mean, that's going to happen. We agree with the state, we agree, I mean, we're mandated by the state, number one. But that's our plan is, I think we're all in agreement on the bell to bell in the locker.
So the option would be for our handbooks is just to replicate off in a locker for junior high or really K-12.
K-12. Or are we gonna say off, or are we just gonna say
Just
stored
in a locker.
Stored in a locker.
Silenced.
It's in the law.
Silence in a locker.
That's all we want.
Silence.
That's all we want.
Well, I
Because
think
they'll all
that's,
go off at the same time strategically, you know,
Yeah.
walk by lockers.
that was the discussion we had, is my definition of off might be different than a 14-year-old's definition of off. I think no one's interested in punishing somebody
Correct,
for just doing that.
correct. We have no desire to say, oh, your phone wasn't silenced or your phone was off, and that's not where we want to go.
Well, we wouldn't know it anyway.
Until it rings when you walk by.
I mean, silenced versus off.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Does vibrate, silence?
You can do a silence
No,
off.
silence off.
Yeah, vibrator, it's a lane and something.
So then what I'm hearing, just to capture, is I think we're going to table this policy. We are going to vote in the next item to amend the student code of for student code of conduct and handbooks K-12 to have its phones will be silenced and in a locker. And that will get us through the beginning of the year, and that's from first bell through last bell. And then in the meantime, we will revisit in regards to other devices such as, because you had said something about isolating like e-readers and
Well, I really like
smartwatches, and I
The
like the way
language
you
about
said, it was
transmit,
good.
receive.
Well,
That's where I needed. and I
well,
didn't
in the
get that.
bylaws, it just defines an electronic device or a PCD.
Has everything in there.
It just defines a PCD as a device used to communicate. And then just, all I'm saying is cut those examples off.
Right, we don't need.
We don't need those examples.
So that would go back to amending the bylaws.
So then it goes back to if a device is something that is used for, but then we need to, if we're gonna use something like if we're gonna use that model policy, and like what Tammy's saying is, we need to talk about cell phones separately than non-cell phone devices. Because even as this proposed policy is, I mean, let's be real, we have significant population, I don't know about significant, but we have a decent sized population of iMacs, MacBooks, whatever they're calling them these days, I'm old. MacBooks and iPads, and you can mirror a cell phone right on a MacBook. And, you know, we're gonna have to deal with the fact that kids are going to, like water, find ways. And so, I'm not saying we just ignore that, I'm saying let's have our policy, you know, a cell phone policy that models what the state wants, and then we address these other devices, because there is good language in there about, you know, not invading people's privacy, and, you know, you have a watch, and as long as it's just a watch, fine, but if you're using it to communicate, then that is violating the policy. But we need to clean this, it's such a mess right now, that we need to clean it up and make it consistent.
And even on the Chromebooks, someone pointed out to me recently that kids can get around, they can text each other by opening up a Google Doc and inviting their friend to edit it, and then they just message each other. They do that in the elementary school evidently, so they're gonna figure it out in high school if they haven't already.
No,
Yeah, they were doing that from the beginning.
So it's, yeah, I mean, I feel like when we're worrying about whether or not a Kindle can text, it's kind of missing the whole point, you know, like, right, there's behaviors that need to be addressed that, as opposed to what the device can do. So,
So how would you like to amend the action for personal communication devices? What I'm hearing is not approving as proposed. I think we would need a motion to table. But then when we go into amend the handbooks for process, then we would amend the handbooks based on the Ohio model policy as noted, which means silenced and in a locker, bell to bell. And we will revisit the implications or policy for other items other PCD items such as watches, but we also want to go into our bylaws. But I think we can also put in our handbooks that we do feel comfortable with e-readers alike, because we want children to be able to read if they want to read a book during lunchtime or study hall. I think that's a tool that they deserve to have. That will fill a need. And then we need to spend some time revisiting, maybe starting with the other part of the bylaws and what we feel about the specific, how we're going to handle language around personal computers and MacBooks or iPads or AirBooks, and have some time to kind of drill down on what that can and cannot look like. Is that capturing that?
Full disclosure on that, not to get into the weeds, but I know Casey and I have had conversations when this first came out, just about with the MacBook specifically, with the have and the have-nots, how many parents are gonna go out and buy it. But I've had conversations with Darren on that, where MacBooks don't have their own cellular device, or their own cellular communication that goes through the Wi-Fi. He's working with GoGuardian and our Wi-Fi in our buildings, where he should be able to get in and disable text communication with any device that's connected to our Wi-Fi. So what that means, though, if you walk into a school and you're on that Wi-Fi, which my phone automatically hooks to it, I'm gonna have to disable my Wi-Fi if I wanna text somebody and use my actual cellular network to do it. So Darren, again, that's a little bit farther down the road, but he is investigating that with their own personal device.
That's not great for staff.
What's that?
That's not great for staff, so staff.
They have a separate one, they have a separate network.
They could use their network on their cell phones, yeah.
I mean, I think that's great. I question whether it's possible. I know, I've been told that school internet devices cannot contact Chat GPT and Chromebooks can't get on Chat GPT, but somehow iMacs or the MacBooks get around it and can get on Chat GPT because it's a different operating system, it's a different language. So I think, but this goes back to the point that Dan made is that I think in this instance, we've got, at some point, the board can pass all the words and policies, but at some point, it's gonna have to be a focus on behaviors. And we're just gonna have to enforce it in the classroom and boots on the ground and, figure out when kids are doing this and stop them and I don't know.
Well, I think
It can't just be.
But I think I sort of understood it to be from the first read that they're saying, give us this policy and we'll worry about the behavior, but we're giving them the policy to help them enforce and take care of dealing with the behavior. Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah.
Really, these things were already banned during the class time.
Right.
Already, so to the extent that there were issues about misuse of devices during class time, I mean, that was already covered by policy. So, I mean, I understand we're talking about lunch now, but I guess I'm not super worried about somebody getting an occasional text at lunch. I mean, it just doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. But I am concerned about class, obviously, very concerned about classes last time. Tim, do you have any sense of how many students use personal Chromebooks or other laptops?
I don't, and Darren and I had the conversation last week, and he was actually working on that. We only know because when it comes to OSTs and the TIE system, et cetera, they do have to use a Chromebook, they can't use a personal device. He was working on getting me that number on how many are distributed
Okay, because there's,
for testing in high schools.
isn't it, in Final Forms, or is it Final Forms now? No, that's the sports one. The one that we,
View,
yeah, don't you have to like opt into Chromebooks in there?
you do.
So there's probably a way to extrapolate from one view, how many opt in.
Okay, so I withdraw my motion to approve.
So do we need a motion to table? So I'll make a motion to table.
So let's put,
I made a motion to withdraw.
okay. Do we need a second vote on that?
I'll second.
Julie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then make a motion to table.
Make a motion to table.
I'll second that.
I will send a doodle poll for dates.
Kim?
Yes.
Dan?
Yeah.
Greg?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Do you desire to do that work through the policy committee first? And then present that to the board?
So I would say maybe we do it, like, you guys
Yeah.
have sent us language, you do it to the policy committee, and I would love it if Mark and Casey could be a part of that. So, like, that would be helpful, and then the language that we've gotten from everybody, and then we can try to get it back out, try that.
All right, so we'll get Dan and Julie, I'll get dates, Sandra sends them to her. And then Mark and Casey. Thank you. Alrighty, I recommend item 5.2, the annual approval of bus stops as noted.
I move approval.
Second.
Comments or questions? I always have the same question. Did you check it for the sex offender registry and make sure that no kids are standing in the driveway of a sex offender or next door?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and we're all clear? Yes, that's a yes, you're okay. I ask that every year. And I'm just gonna tell you, Dan, is because when somebody called me and their kid was standing there at 6:30 in the morning, and it was a sex offender's driveway, and it was down the street, and it was a call. Not on your watch. Adam?
Julie?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes. Thank you. I recommend item 5.3 for approval, which is the preschool program handbook for the 25-26 school.
I'll move approval.
A second.
Comments or questions?
Julie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes. Thank you. I recommend item 5.4 with a revision, the approval of school handbook amendments, but I'm going to state it, I don't know how you want to capture this, really based on ODE model policy. At this point in time, that we would drop into our handbooks K-12.
So right now, and I've lost the connection here, but it says students will follow board policy 5136, personal communication devices, grunts, and that.
Yeah.
We don't have that approved to follow, so it would be,
ODE
students will
model.
follow the ODE model handbook. Is that what we
I
said?
mean, can't we just say?
Or can we say
Can we
cell
just
phones
say
will
cell
be
phones
silenced
lockers?
in a locker?
Yeah, let's just say.
During the
Yes.
instructional day.
Mr. Q.
Because kids aren't looking up statutes or model policies.
If we're gonna put this through the handbook, which I think is appropriate, I think that gives us a little bit more wiggle room, then does that also allow us to put this via the handbook and then also the disciplinary consequences, the procedural consequences that we had
Well,
developed?
that was the next piece, because the consequences are supposed to be in the policy.
So they'll be in the policy, but the policy doesn't give you the handbook, we're just trying to give you the language in the handbook so that you can start it right now at the beginning of the school year while we hammer out the policy,
Hopefully
so.
next meeting we'll be able to pass this
The
policy.
consequences that were preliminarily put in the
Handbooks.
policy
Policy with
were also
handbooks.
what they wanted in their handbooks,
Oh,
it's
okay.
fine.
So
That
there's,
is-
so you wanted it in your hand, it's in your.
Well, so that helps us to basically then address the issues when they come up.
Right.
And if it's in the handbook along with the expectation, it just works kind of as bookends, in my opinion.
Did the handbook previously have disciplinary consequences
Yes.
for that? And
Yes.
what were
Yes.
they?
I don't have those in front of me, don't know if you know, you guys know.
Yeah, I was pulling them up.
I'm just wondering if we
It's
can.
typically warning and confiscated the first time, second offense, a level 1 detention, which is 1 hour, third, then level 2 detention, and then a level 3 detention.
But was it
I
listed
think
right
we
there?
still, I mean, we can say we're following the, what is it,
ODE
do,
model, yeah.
do, Department of
ODE.
Education Workforce,
ODE.
policy with regard to cell phones, but I think we need to also keep in a reference to 5136 for other electronic devices, so that we incorporate the current ban on other electronic devices being used during class.
Yeah, but this is, did we even, did that handbook ever talk about that? But this is the student handbook that students are gonna read, right? Parents.
It becomes really part of the code of conduct that pretty much says, if you do this, this is what happens. That's all it is. And by approving it, I think what I hear Mark saying is, with the consequences that are noted in the policy that they worked on
Yeah, the one
as
that
both
we
high
actually worked
schools, we want to be able to incorporate those into the student handbook for transparency for our parents and our students alike, to know that if you do violate, you don't put your cell phone in your locker and it's not silenced, here are the consequences of what would happen. And they're outlined as first offense, second offense, third offense, and so on. So it really is for our parents to also be aware, until we get more down the road with other devices, as it falls for cell phones. These are, if you violate that, I think our parents and students should have something in writing that
Yeah, I
they
mean, that's
know
what, they're not
for
looking up,
transparency.
they're not looking up board policy,
Yeah,
they're
they're
looking
not.
at the handbook. I
It
mean,
is-
I'm
No, I just
comfortable.
wanna make sure it's consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with the language you guys came up with for your, I'm okay with that. I'm
Well,
okay
the
with-
elementary is a little different, it's a little more, not as.
Yeah, well, this is, we're just doing.
It was like a
High
K-5,
Yeah.
Yes.
6 through 12.
Yeah,
And the current 5136 just says violations of this policy may result in disciplinary action or confiscation. I think it's okay to specify more specific consequences that are still consistent with this.
The one we revised.
Are we talking
No,
about?
I'm talking about the one that's currently in place,
Oh.
which would be the operative policy when we're passing this. Right.
So it would be the consequences that are in the newly proposed?
No.
Well, they have it in the
I think they can
handbook.
put that in the handbook.
So in the handbook, what was proposed for the new PCD
Right,
policy
right.
mirrors the language that they have. That's the language they came up with, those are the consequences that they came up with. So they want to keep that in the handbook.
It's already in the handbook, but that needs to be added.
Well, it's going to be added,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
this is a new
Right.
thing, so,
Yeah.
and I'm comfortable
Yeah.
moving forward with that language, yes.
Yeah, I am too.
Okay.
So if you look at the high school handbook amendment, I'm gonna read this out loud, and cell phones shall be silenced and in a locker during the instructional day. And then we're gonna include those 5 offenses specifically with the consequences. Does that language sound?
I think so, I'd probably put in there school day,
Yeah, instructional day
7:25
is
to
bell to bell, I
2:25.
think you need to, that needs to be in there.
From the
Instructional
first,
day,
start of the first bell to the
Yeah.
end of the last bell.
yes, you need to define it. Was that already defined in the new handbook? I don't think.
The new policy it was.
In the policy, but not the.
No,
But, I mean,
because
if you
it's in
want-
there.
Because it referenced
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah, I mean.
But if you want coverage for other electronic devices, you need to reference also the existing policy. Like, other electronic devices under the existing policy need to be, can be used. I don't know how much you want to spell out, but I don't think you'd want to
Less is
completely
more.
ignore other electronic
Yeah, less
devices.
is more in the student handbook because it's really for students and for parents.
I mean,
It's just saying what
do you
happens when you
wanna
violate the.
specify more, like, again, I go back to your language, like, electronic devices which can transmit and
right.
receive.
I guess one thing that we may want to consider is that since we're pivoting over into the handbooks, is that to almost use this as a trial balloon. You know, one of the things that I said at our last meeting was is that we don't know what we don't know about some of these things. We don't know how the kids are going to adapt. If we're zeroing in on handbooks and we're just going to do the cell phone pieces to start off with, and then we've got the consequences for that, and then we're also going to have policy discussion that's going to be voted on. By the time we come back for policy discussion, we'll be able to trial this out a little bit at the start of the school year and see what kinds of things kids have come up with.
So you're not concerned about having anything in here about other devices in your?
Well, I mean, I know you referenced e-readers. I mean, to be perfectly honest with everybody, I'm not sure when I've seen an e-reader at Northview, quite frankly. Not to say that they're not there. I think it would be great if kids were using them to read books. I think it'd be great if kids were reading books through the cafeteria. I just haven't seen them, so like we haven't, it hasn't become an issue or even something that's even registered on our radar.
It's my hope that, you know, they'll become more prevalent when phones are taken away at lunch.
That'd be great.
No, I'm not necessarily talking, actually, I am thinking of watches, and I know we've had a discussion about watches, but if we don't put something in here, then there'd be no ability to enforce somebody playing on their, you know, fiddling
Well, I
with their watch.
think that goes back
There's
to.
existing policy though.
But isn't it normally in the handbook? Wasn't it in the
No.
handbook before? It wasn't?
Not for
okay.
iWatches, I don't believe so. I
There
have to
wasn't
go.
anything for devices, electronic devices?
I think it goes back to addressing the behavior and not the device, where if it's failure to comply or disrupting the school day, then the kid can receive a minor referral and progressive discipline will
Yeah.
ensue.
No, I totally agree. I just thought it needed to be in the handbook and the policy, but if you're saying it doesn't need to be in the handbook, then that's fine with me.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
I just misunderstood what the handbook, what was supposed to be in the handbook.
Okay, clear on what we're
You
doing?
guys are really testing my ability to take minutes here.
Are you crystal clear on what we're doing?
I'll figure it out. Between Dr. Miley and Tim, I think I
We
got
got
the
it.
notes. I'll say they recommended item 5.4 with amendments, and I'll say the amendment in the board minutes of off and in your locker.
Silence. Silence.
Put that together.
Silence.
Silence.
Good.
Literally.
You're already having problems, man.
Just put a YouTube link.
Yeah,
Okay.
Casey,
The one that we have posted says electronic devices, and it says as long, during after-school activities. I know that part's gonna be amended, but the whole point is it doesn't cause a distraction or a disruption. So I think we'd
that's
still
what it comes
have.
with, it's coordination, like if I tell you you're messing with your phone.
Which I think is ultimately the goal.
Right.
Right.
It's behavior, not the device. It's the behavior with the device.
But I think that this handbook change supports the two of you with cell phones. And I know the big piece was they wanted to have it established before January 1,
understand.
so we're starting the school year, so it's appreciated.
I understand.
Absolutely. All righty. Ms. Hoffman.
I don't call the roll.
We're waiting on-
So I got Julie first and Kim second.
Yes.
So Julie.
first.
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Thank you. I would also like to share, there were a number of resources that ODEW uploaded today on their website. I've shared some of those with Tim. We will share those with administrators. Also, even reference tools that our administrators can drop into staff newsletters and newsletters to try and help with the messaging and support the transition. So, in their infinite wisdom, they have tried to provide some level of support to this class. That's all I have to say about that. All right, moving on. Item 5.5. I have a recommendation for 3 service agreements with I Am Boundless, effective August 5th through May 29th of 2026.
No move approval.
I'll second.
Comments or questions? Adam?
Julie,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Thank you. I recommend item 5.6, agreements with the Midwest Regional ESC. These are annual agreements to support to provide visually impaired services for our students for mobility services.
I'll move for approval. I'll second. Comments or questions? Adam?
Kim,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Tammy.
Yes. Thank you. I recommend item 5.7, which is approve the lay-down yard lease with Miller Pipeline. It is an interesting name, for them to rent some property there on the corner of Maplewood and Main, down the street, like where you see the Panthers fence, that little grassy patch there, across from the golf course, sort of, before you get to the golf course, it's across from houses, actually. For the exhibit, they will be renting that, I think, for 90 days.
Yeah, about 2.5 months. Just like grassy area that they're using for.
Lay down?
Yeah,
Lay
for
down?
lay down.
For the, that's right.
And is it gonna kill the grass?
They'll
restore it back.
Hence the rent.
Yeah.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Comments, questions? Adam?
Greg,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Childers?
I will recommend items 6.1 through 6.4 on a consent agenda basis. 6.1 are licensed new teachers. 6.2 are licensed administrator substitutes. 6.3 are our licensed teaching substitutes. And then 6.4 is licensed secretary.
Move approval on a consent agenda basis, item 6.1 through 6.4.
A second.
Comments or questions? Adam?
Julie,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes. Thank you. I will recommend items 7.1 and 7.2 on a consent agenda basis. 7.1 are classified new hires and 7.2 are classified resignations.
I'll move approval on a consent agenda basis, item 7.1 and 7.4. Comments or questions?
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Thank you. I will recommend items 8.1 through 8.4 on a consent agenda basis. 8.1 are supplemental positions for the 25-26 school year. 8.2, teaching pupil activity contracts for 25-26 school year. 8.3, volunteers for 25-26. And 8.4 are resignation and changes to supplemental positions for 25-26.
I'll move for approval on a consent agenda basis, items 8.1 to 8.4.
Second.
Comments or questions? Adam?
Greg,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Julie.
Yes. So second opportunity for public participation for items not on the agenda. Let's say that's from
Jerry, tell her something. Or Dan, sorry, Dan. George,
All right, then I move we go into executive session for the purposes of employment of, for employment.
I'll second.
Adam?
Julie,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
We will not be taking action. Thank you.